Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Curtis and I am a guide with Trek Travel. And tonight I'm going to be your host. I'm going to tell you everything about Trek Travel and how you can have an active vacation of a lifetime. So, with that, we're going to get started. I will say it takes a team to have a vacation of a lifetime and also to tell you about one. So, joining me tonight is my good friend and co guide, Hershey. You're going to see Hershey a little bit later when we get into the trips that we're highlighting tonight. Now, I know all of you have become Zoom experts in the last few years, but here are a few reminders. If you've updated Zoom recently and you're only seeing my face right now and not my screen, you're going to want to click over to the tab at the top that shows the screen share. If you don't see that, don't worry about it. You're all set. There was an update recently, and if you're like me, you hold out for as long as you can, but eventually you either accidentally click the update or they force you to do it. Fortunately, when they did the update, they kept a lot of the familiar stuff that we all know about. So the menu bar has the mute button and the video toggle button, but more importantly, it has the chat box. And here's where we have a couple trivia questions tonight, so you can answer them there. We only need the letter of the correct answer, not the whole answer. But more importantly, here's where you can ask questions throughout the presentation that then we'll respond to at the end of the evening, or we might try to touch them while we're going through if we have time, but generally we kind of hit them at the end so everyone can hear them. And if you're like me, you have all these great questions when you hear something, and then if you have to wait, 5, 10, 15 minutes, you totally forget them. So this is a chance to kind of fill them in there, and then we'll scroll through the chat at the end of the evening and make sure we capture all of the questions and make sure everybody hears the answers. You can also do closed captioning for those of you who want to do that. But at this point, if I could ask everybody to turn off their mic and their video, and then we're going to get started with the presentation. Now, at Trek Travel, for those of you obviously who've talked about being on some of the trips, we usually do a route talk. So you have an idea of where you're going to be going that day and what you can expect to see. So here's your route talk for this evening. We'll start with who we are at Trek Travel, then move on to why should you travel with us, kind of, what sets us apart from the competition. Then we climb up to tonight's trip spotlights because, let's be honest, it's not a Trek Travel trip without at least a little bit of climbing, especially when we're talking about Switzerland. And tonight we're talking about Switzerland road and gravel trips. So there has to be some climbing involved. But we will quickly but safely descend to discuss how to book a trip because we're all about safety as well. And then as I mentioned, finish up with some Q&A where we'll help you ask any questions about these trips, other trips, bikes, anything Trek Travel. We just, Hershey and I just love talking about all things Trek Travel, all things bikes. And don't worry, for those of you who've been on Trek Travel trips, we know people tend to want to get on the bike and start riding and they kind of doze off during the safety talk. There is no safety talk tonight. We know that you're all safe in the comfort of your own home. So let's start with who we are at Trek Travel and what we do. Trek Travel is a company, though I always say after more than 5 years working for Trek Travel, and Hershey's been here much longer, to me it feels a lot more like a family, and a family that believes you in taking on vacations that move you, both literally and figuratively. Trek Travel has been doing active vacations all over the world and is always scouting out new locations and new ways to experience them. And we've been doing it for over 23 years now. And over all of those years, we've been winning awards. We've been voted one of the top vacation companies by our guests and partners over many years by various organizations. Most recently, we were voted a top 10 tour operator by Travel and Leisure for 2023, number 5 in fact, which is our highest finish ever. This is a repeat from 2022, 21, 2018, and 2016. We are extremely proud of these awards and we continue to work hard to deserve more. Now you're probably wondering how we win all these awards. You might hear us call it our secret sauce. And for those of you who are old enough to remember, no, it's not Thousand Island when that used to be the secret sauce for everything. But it could be wine or beer because that seems to be part of pretty much all of our trips. Rather than telling you about it, I want to show you a video narrated by our president, Tanya Burke.
Active travel is pure magic. You can hear, taste, see things in a different way and from a different perspective. I close my eyes and I can hear the sound of the cowbells in the Alps. I can taste the best tomatoes in the world in Italy, and I can see that pristine blue lake in Glacier National Park. Biking or hiking through an area allows you to get up close and personal to the place and the people. At Trek Travel, we have cycling trips for every type of traveler. From classic guided vacations in North America and Europe, you can experience the best of a destination with our world-class guides. If you're an avid rider, we have trips that will test your legs, from experiencing the best of the pro cycling scene on our Tour de France trips to training for your next big race on our ride camps. Do you want to adventure off the beaten path? Our gravel bike tours are the perfect fit. They combine classic trek travel experience with miles of gravel roads across North America and Europe. For travelers looking to lace up their boots, our hiking and walking tours offer a variety of activity levels, from leisurely strolls in Ireland and Portugal to epic hikes in the French Alps and the Dolomites. All the elements of an incredible trip are fine-tuned and delivered with unparalleled hospitality by our awesome guides. They're focused on making sure we have a seamless and effortless experience for our guests and provide wow moments that you would never expect. From luxury vacations in Mallorca to leisurely riding e-bikes through Bryce and Zion National Parks, whether you're looking for big days in the saddle in Girona, hiking through historic villages in Italy, or planning a private getaway for you and your family or friends, our sole purpose is to make sure you have the best vacation you've ever had, and we look forward to you joining us on your next adventure.
Man, I love that video. It makes me want to get out and ride my bike. And speaking of riding, we know that you're here because you love to ride bikes as well. And bikes are one of the many ways that Trek Travel sets itself apart from other tour operators. I'm sure you'll all agree that the bike you ride on a cycling vacation matters. That's why we provide the best bikes in the business and tailor them to the trip that you're on. Honestly, you're probably going to buy one of these if you don't already own one at home. Now, we have 4 standard bikes. Which ones are offered will depend on the type of trip and region that you're in. Though I should note, there are a few select regions where we'll have slightly different bikes, but this is where you're going to find in the majority of our trips have these bikes. Now, we're talking about a gravel trip tonight, so obviously we got to talk about the Checkpoint SLR7. This is an amazing carbon fiber, electronic shifting, carbon wheels bike that is just perfectly suited for gravel trips. You're going to love it. For our road trips, we have the Damani SL7. Again, full carbon fiber bike, electronic shifting, disc brakes, carbon wheels. Yes, carbon wheels on your road bike with no upgrade charge, which is just absolutely amazing. Again, this bike you're going to really, really love if you don't already have one at home or something very similar. Now, for those of you, a no-cost option that's usually available on many of our trips, not all of them. I think for the gravel trip, the Verve is not available. But for many of our trips, we'll have the Verve Plus as an option available for you, no-cost option. This is obviously a hybrid bike, more of step-through design. It's not a road bike, which is also a great way to kind of get around. Or if you feel like you can't necessarily keep up with everybody or the trip's a little more than you're expecting, again, it's a great way to kind of hop on a road bike or hop on an e-bike and kind of let you stay up with everybody. And then last, but definitely not least, is the Damani Plus SLR7. This is, an e-road bike, full carbon fiber, again, electronic shifting, carbon wheels, weighing under 30 pounds. Honestly, I have one of these and absolutely love it. It makes me feel like a pro on those days where I'm climbing up a hill or there's a big headwind, or I just want to zoom around my local route and get done a lot faster than normal. It's just amazing because it feels like just someone's kind of pushing you along. Now, I should mention that these are electronic assist bikes, so there's no throttle. I mean, this is a Trek travel trip after all, so you have to actually pedal. And you can pedal as little or as much as you want. When I ride my Damani Plus, sometimes if I'm going with folks that maybe aren't quite as quick as me, or I just want to get a little more of a workout, I just keep it off. At 27, 28 pounds, you can ride it with not much of a weight penalty, and you really don't notice it all that much. On a hill, you're probably gonna notice a little bit more, but anyway, and if you haven't checked out an e-bike, you should definitely go into your local Trek dealer, check one out. I think you're going to love it if you're kind of considering as a possible option. And it's also a great way if you're thinking about maybe doing a trip that you're not really sure about your abilities or maybe a little outside of your comfort zone. Getting the e-bike is, again, a really great way to kind of give you that level of comfort. So you're not worried about making it up that hill or keeping up with everybody. Though, again, you don't have to keep up with everybody. It's a Trek travel trip. So, we say your day, your way. So you go at your own pace. Okay, now with that, why don't we open up those chat boxes because we have our first trivia question. And the question is, this is a great picture. This is Crater Lake, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite places to go. What is one of the exclusive perks you receive after your first trip as a member of Club TT? Again, you only need the letter of the correct answer. A free Trek bike. B, complimentary Damani Plus upgrade. C, a $500 trip credit. Or D, $400 off a new Trek bike. After you take your first trip with us, you'll become part of our loyalty club with exclusive perks like giveaways, savings, and more for the ultimate VIP treatment. It's really nice when you're already going on a trip and you get something out of it. So with that, if you want to, so if the answers are rolling in here, let's give it one more second. So they stop. So the correct answer is yes, for all of you. D is the correct answer. $400 off a new Trek bike. So when you get home, if you don't already own a Damani Plus or a Checkpoint SLR7, you'll be able to get one that much cheaper. Now you might be wondering, how do I figure out which trip is right for me? One way is by considering the activity level of the trip. Some trips are more active than others, so that's definitely something you want to take into consideration. I mean, obviously, you look at this route here, it's a little more climbing than some other trips. Now we classify our trips by 4 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Yeah, I know, totally not rocket science. Level 1 is going to be easier in distance, terrain, and our skill level, while level 4 is going to be the hardest. And that is true for all of our trip styles. You may have seen descriptive names in the past to kind of talk about, what they are. So here they're popping up, recreational, active. And we don't want people to kind of take those words and kind of put too much into them. Really look at the level, look at the trip, and the trip will tell you, kind of what you expect to climb, distance as far as elevation and miles, and kind of look at that as your gauge. So really just look at the number, not the descriptive level so much. Another way to think about trips is the trip styles. We have 3 trip styles. First is our classic road cycling trips. Now, this is where we started back in 2002 and where we have by far the most trips. These trips range from short 3 or 4 day trips exploring an area to our cross country trip that covers almost 3,800 miles and over 155,000 feet of climbing over 47 days. And everything in between. There is truly a trip for everyone, whether you're coming out or whether you're looking for those long days in the saddle or just riding a little bit while you enjoy the food and culture of the area. And as Tanya mentioned in the video, we also have our pro race trips, which are super cool if you are a fan of pro cycling. And also for those of you who want to kind of do it on your own, there are self-guided trips. So if you're like, I want to get to a region, I want a bike, I want my Garmin to get me around. We offer self-guided trips in many regions, not all. In fact, there are even some regions where we offer self-guided trips where we don't have guided trips. So you should check out self-guided as well, where you're kind of, like doing it on your own. Now, next is our gravel cycling adventures. Now, these trips, obviously like the Swiss Alps ones, are for our guests who want to get off paved roads to roads that are a little more rugged and less traveled. And we do this on gravel bikes. For those of you who are not familiar with gravel bikes, if a road bike and a mountain bike had a baby, it would be a gravel bike. So you should think of a gravel trip as a combination of road riding and mountain biking, usually riding on dirt roads and paths that are not as full as rocks and ruts and roots or as technical as many mountain bike trails, but definitely more adventurous than paved roads and bike paths. Though I do have to mention that you will have to ride on some paved roads to get to some of the dirt roads usually. So they're not going to all be dirt. But a lot of them are, and it's really a great way to kind of get out and see the country and go on places that other people are not normally going. Now, speaking of places people aren't normally going, our last trip style is our newest. As we say, step into the new era of Trek travel with our hiking and walking tours. We started out thinking that the best way to see the world was on 2 wheels. But over all these years, we realized there are some amazing places that you can't go on 2 wheels. You kind of need to use your legs, or at least maybe you shouldn't go on 2 wheels, or maybe it's illegal to go on 2 wheels. So we decided, let's get some hiking trips so we can go and we can explore these amazing areas with, again, the best guides, luxury accommodations, expert itineraries, unmatched flexibility, and support from the moment you book till well after you depart, all delivered with what truly sets Trek travel apart, our unparalleled hospitality. All right, so what's included in these trips? Well, for both types of trips, we include the hotel, guides, daily breakfast, most lunches, most dinners, some daily snacks and drinks, gratuities for local staff. So whenever you're doing some kind of adventure or you're eating at a restaurant, you don't have to write any of those gratuities. If you're on a trip with any kind of transfers, the luggage transfer and the transportation is included as well. And then, of course, some Trek travel gear to keep. What you get kind of depends on the trip. For the cycling trips, you're getting those world-class bikes, a Garmin GPS, helmet, flat pack, support fan, 1 to 3 route options depending on the day. And with hiking and walking, you're getting a backpack, hiking poles, and water bottles. I will say with any of these trips, like with a hiking trip, if you have your own backpack or hiking sticks, feel free to bring those along. We just really wanted to make these trips accessible for folks who don't have, backpacks or hiking sticks. And I will say you should always use hiking sticks. I used to not use them, absolutely love them now. Okay, with that, let's talk about what's not included. As you can see, this is a much shorter list. Airfare and transportation to and from the trip are not included, and we always recommend that you go out a day or two early. If there's travel hiccups, you don't want to miss the first day. Sometimes the first day you'll actually kind of get picked up and transferred somewhere else. So if you miss that pickup, you have to get yourself to wherever that the route is starting that day. So getting out a day or two early is always a great way to acclimate to the area and make sure you're not missing anything. Of course, if you're there, you need some lodging. So lodging before and after the trip. Any personal items such as souvenirs, any optional activities are not scheduled by Trek Travel. So our trips are usually booked full of fun activities, but we do try to give you a little bit of time to explore an area the way you want to explore it. And also some meals, so you can actually explore the cuisine. We have amazing curated meals for you, but on the app that we provide with Ride GPS, you can actually, there are some suggestions for local restaurants that you can check out. So you can kind of, there's a certain type of cuisine or a certain place you want to check out, you can do that. And last but not least, what's not included are gratuity for your Trek travel guides. As a guide, I can say we appreciate your appreciation. So with that, let's open up our chat boxes again and get ready for your second trivia question. Now we get this question a lot, so we thought we'd throw it into a quiz. But what is our average group size? A12, B8, C20, or D5? So all you need is the letter of the correct answer. I'll say, our trips range. I know Hershey and I have probably guided trips for anywhere from like one person up to, over 25. But people always want to know, like, what's the average size? Because part of the fun of a Trek travel trip is actually being with other people. I mean, obviously riding these beautiful, amazing areas on these incredible bikes, super awesome, great meals, the culture. But the people you meet on Trek travel trips are definitely part of the experience. Looks like all the answers are in. I like Ian came in with C. If you never know the correct answer, always go with C. C's are always a good guess. But the correct answer is A12, which frankly I think is the absolute perfect number. We start some of these ride camps that we've had to get a lot of people riding, and so sometimes you get a lot of people and for meals and whatnot. It's great to meet lots of folks, but can be kind of a crowd and kind of like herding cats. So in my mind, 8 to 12 is an absolutely ideal size for a trip. All right, now we're climbing up to the point that you've all been waiting for, the section of the event where we talk about Switzerland and Swiss Alps gravel. So Switzerland bike tour and Swiss Alps gravel. So I want to pass it over to my co-guide Hershey to share these amazing destinations with you. Hershey, take it away.
Curtis, as always, thank you so much for being here, and just getting us to this point tonight. So we have two amazing trips, and I'm sure you all are here because you want to know about Switzerland and all things Switzerland. And if my slides will, there we go. Straightforward. Switzerland, I will say, is an enchanted country. My first memories of Switzerland and touring there began over 25 years ago. Immaculate landscapes. Everything was clean and pristine. The chocolate was next level. The mountain landscapes were awe-inspiring. And I first fell in love with coffee in Switzerland because they came out and they would wear these white gloves pouring from stainless steel pots. Definitely was magical. So, did you know Switzerland has regions which are similar to states? They are called cantons, and we will spend time on our Switzerland bike tour in both the German speaking and French speaking cantons. When I used to live there, I actually lived in one canton, which was near Sion, and it was the only one that was split between French and German. So we would hitchhike, put our thumb out, and then be like, Sion, s'il vous plaît, or Sion, bitte. Anyway, you won't have to do that because you're going to be on some sweet bikes. And this tour will take you through breathtaking landscapes, pristine lakes, and of course, awe-inspiring vistas. Now, the riding on this trip, Curtis mentioned the different trip levels that we have. This trip, even though with all that climbing in the mountains, this is a level 2-3 trip. What that means is we have about 30 miles per day with 2,200 feet of climbing. And we start this trip up near Zurich and we make our way southwest toward Lucerne. We'll be riding on the roads in Switzerland, which I would say it is joy. As you can see from this photo, I want to point this out. Do you see any potholes? Do you see anything missing from the road? Swiss roads are unlike anything you probably have ridden. They are awesome and amazing. And besides, you get to spin on these amazing roads and have the thrill of spending time in the valleys of the Swiss Alps, which forever will leave an impression upon your soul. The warm up ride on our trip will take you and give you a sneak peek at the incredible adventures that await us this week. You'll start riding out of Lucerne along the lake, passing lavish 19th century villas. We'll then pedal on rolling hills to the boat station in the town of Witznau. We will then board a scenic boat, which can it get any better than that? Which will take us back to our town for the evening. Recognized by UNESCO as a biosphere reserve in 2001, Entelbook showcases a pre-alpine moorland and an impressive landscape. Today, our cycling adventure begins in Entelbook, pedaling through the captivating Emmental Valley with its incredible views. And yes, Emmental cheese does come from this valley. From the views of the mountains to the pristine villages, each day in Switzerland is going to offer you a unique experience to engage your senses to all things Switzerland. Today, the enchanting Lauterbrunnen Valley awaits us. You'll brace yourself for an ascent that will reward you with an awe-inspiring panoramas upon arriving to the town of Lauterbrunnen, as pictured here. Here, the true purpose of your journey will definitely become evident. These majestic mountains around us, the lush meadows, the cascading waterfalls, and of course, an amazing village that has everything to it. And you probably will hear the faint sound of cowbells off in the distance. Now, our first hotel of the trip, we stay at the Fairmont Montreux Palace. It's set along the shores of Lake Geneva. The Fairmont de Montreux Palace provides guests with stunning views. It's surrounded by an ambience of luxury, style, grace, and just something that makes you go, this is living. I don't know what that means, but it's pretty awesome. All right, now a trip to Switzerland would not be complete with a ride on one of the iconic Swiss trains. And let me just say, when the Swiss trains say they arrive at 4:52, they arrive at 4:52. And when they depart at 4:55, the whistle blows and they're gone at 4:55. It's amazing the timekeeping that they have. It's definitely to it. So on day 3, we'll have this awesome breakfast, and then we're going to board a train of Switzerland to begin our day. We'll bid farewell to our hotel in Montreux, and we'll make our way to the village of Saint-Moser to begin the day's ride. So your guides will drive the bikes with the van and trailer, and then meet you on the other side. Now, after a scenic 1.5 hour journey, we'll begin our ride toward Gruyères, which is renowned for its world famous cheese. That's right. And I didn't mention all the great cheese, but it is incredible. Along the way, we'll stop in Gstaad. It's known for its charming chalet style architecture, its upscale boutiques, the gourmet restaurants. And then we'll be crossing from the German speaking into the French speaking part of Switzerland. We'll conclude our ride at Les Maisons Calaire, where you'll tour the chocolate making process and indulge in, I hate to say it, but a decadent and awesome tasting, and definitely have some room in your suitcase because you're going to want to buy more than you think because you'll eat a lot of it while you're there in Switzerland. Now, on the last night of our trip, in true Swiss style, we're going to have one awesome dinner together where we're going to raise a glass of wine to a remarkable week of some awe-inspiring vistas and incredible cycling. We will be exploring the French and German speaking cantons. We'll be riding on incredible roads and, of course, making those memories of a lifetime. Now, if you are under the guise from saying, hey, pavement is great, but I want to get on those quiet roads, the roads less traveled, well, I would like to welcome you to your next gravel adventure. Now we begin with our brand new, which started last year, our Swiss Alps gravel bike tour. What I want you to think about here are still stunning views, pristine mountain air, the tranquility, if I could even speak and read, the tranquility of the views, cultural treasures will await us. This gravel trip is a 5-day, 4-night adventure, which is sure to please everyone. We will explore the pristine landscapes, historic mountaineering villages, and unmatched alpine scenery. Here we will make our way from east to the southeast of Switzerland. Unpaved surfaces on our Swiss Alps gravel bike tour are rated as a beginner level. 60% of the riding is unpaved. 40% will be on those amazing paved roads. At times, there may be short sections that have deeper or chunky gravel, cobblestones, or uneven surfaces. And so, with that, the trip as a rider level is rated as a level 3 trip. We average about 25 miles per day, 2,300 feet of climbing. But when you're on the bike, this is the view that you will have the entire trip. And I want to point out the small hiking gravel paths in Switzerland are immaculately kept. And so, if you're thinking you love to ride your bike, you want to give gravel a try, because this is a beginner level gravel trip, this is an incredible place to begin that gravel journey. And then, pictured here is an office employee. His name is Peter. He joined us last year on this trip, and his experience just it changed his life. Now, day one of our trip, we're going to welcome you to Zernetz with a short walk to the Swiss National Parks Information Center. Here we will personalize you. We'll do our bike fit on the checkpoints. And what's pretty sweet, when you go on trip with us, if you haven't done it, we ask you to go to your local Trek store. They'll take measurements, they'll put them into a computer. And then when Curtis and I are your guides, we'll look up the report and it'll say, Tanya, and her one measurement is this, her next measurement is that, and then the last one. And so we'll get the bike fit out so that it's pretty darn close. She'll put her leg over, go for a test ride, and next thing you know, she is ready to rock and roll. After we get you fit, then you will ride through the region's mountaineering villages. This ride feels like a museum of incredibly historic and well decorated homes. The paths are awesome. The entire day is fantastic. The Engadin Valley is sometimes referred to as the unknown and untouched Switzerland. You're sure to be blown away by its solitude, charm, and majestic views. In the summer, you'll be greeted by fresh mountain air, gravel pathways, and the quaintest villages. Admire the ever-changing Upper Engadin glaciers as you pedal to the foot of the largest one for incredible views. The Piz Bernina is the highest peak in the region at over 13,300 feet or 4,050 meters, and it dominates the landscape with its always snow covered glaciers. You'll reach today's highest point at the foot of this glacier, the Mortarash. And I mean, to me, when you're there, this picture doesn't do it justice. It is simply incredible. This slide, I'll say, is awesome for two things. One, you were seeing the hotel. Two, each room has these little balconies, and this is a view that you'll get from the balcony of your hotel room. The authentic yet modern hotel mixes a traditional look with sophisticated designs and definitely comfort. I'd like to welcome you to the Hotel Belvedere School. It has been offering breathtaking views of the Engadin Mountains since 1876. So if you're curious, like what the hotel looks like and then what you'll see from the hotel, this is definitely it. On the gravel trip, another great highlight happens on day 3. We take a ride on a UNESCO Worldage Rhaetian Railway. That's right, another train ride. So both Swiss trips, you get to experience the Swiss trains. It's an engineering masterpiece and the views are incredible. You'll discover St. Moritz, also known as the top of the world, where royals spend their holidays. Here you ride, once again, a mixture of gravel bike paths and narrow paved roads tracing the Inn River. You'll pass through the upper Engadin Valley today through the town of St. Moritz. This town is best known as a glitzy skiing paradise for the rich and the famous. And in the summer, it is a cyclist paradise. We also get to experience a traditional fondue dinner at one of our favorite local restaurants. Did you know that the earliest known recipe for fondue goes back to 1699? The popularity of this cheese is mostly thanks to a 1930s campaign by the Swiss Cheese Union intent on increasing cheese consumption across the country. Fondue is Switzerland's national dish, and real fondue is definitely made with a shot of Kirsch, which is a cherry schnapps. And usually, as you get near the end, you crack an egg and put the egg in there and mix it up with the cheese, and it is absolutely delicious, along with other dishes like raclette and tartiflette. You are sure to be in heaven. Now, we asked Peter, who from our office, what his personal favorite part of this trip was, and he said, well, the food was phenomenal. And so here is Peter here with some of the amazing food. They're having pie on the left, pizza on the right. The photo on the right was the highlight of the trip in terms of food. On the last night of the trip, it's a big square table. Everyone can sit around, and then they bring out this massive pizza with a bunch of different toppings on it. The other thing he mentioned was that a really unique experience was the smaller photo on the top middle, um, where you ride through these quaint little villages where they have these mineral water springs where you literally can fill up your water bottles as you pass through. And I'll say that's not just exclusive to Switzerland, but the Swiss taps are definitely checked and monitored. In Italy, they are monitored. In France, not as much. However, they have these brass taps, and if it's drinkable, it says "eau potable." If it's not, it says non-potable. But every village you go through has an incredible place that you can fill up. Well, Curtis, I will say that tonight we had two incredible trips, absolutely incredible trips. And, whether you are thinking you want to do the pristine paved roads, and I'll say the roads are paved, they are awesome. They're unlike roads that we have anywhere else, they're incredible. Or if you want to get on the path less traveled and take those gravel roads, like you are in for a treat. And I know what you say, why not do both? And for this area and trip, like if you're thinking about exploring Switzerland for 2 weeks, why not? You'll see the best that Switzerland has to offer because we actually explore in different regions. So you'll get a flavor and feeling of the different parts of Switzerland. And with that, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Hirsch. You're right. I always say if you're going to go all the way over there, why not do both of them? I mean, the question isn't like not do both of them. It's like, which one do you do first? Do you do the road first or the gravel first? I think I do gravel first and then, finish with the road, which sounds a little bit fancier. You always like to finish on a high note. So, well, hopefully we've all got you excited about these trips. They sound absolutely amazing, look incredible to me. And you're wondering, what's next? Well, watch out for an email from our team with lots of great info to recap tonight's presentation, including a link to the video. You can visit our website to get more information about these trips, other trips, including dates and prices, trip logistics, where to fly into, what to bring, and just all sorts of other helpful information. While you're there, you can search by region, date, trip style, rider level, and just so many other ways. Also, while you're looking for trips, you can check out our industry leading cancellation policy and our travel insurance provider. And then once you've decided on a trip, give us a call to book one Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. Or if you're one of those people who thinks all of your best choices are made late at night on the comfort of your own couch, you can book some of these online as well. And then once you have booked your trip, you got to get ready to go because this isn't kind of a trip where you just kind of show up and lay around a pool or go to the beach. These are active vacations. And so I think you're going to get more out of the trip by actually being ready for it, especially depending on the kind of activity level you're expecting. And frankly, that is part of the fun. So head into your local Trek dealer. It's a good opportunity to buy some more gear. If you want to avoid rain on your trip, the best way to do that is to bring rain gear. You also get to meet, the employees of your local Trek dealer, have them show you the Checkpoint SLR7 or the Domani Plus SLR7 or the Verve. Check those out, feel them out. There's an option for you. And also, a lot of local shops will have bike rides. So this is a way to kind of stay in shape and make some new friends. So you get to make friends before the trip, you make more friends on the trip. And it's just really a fantastic way to kind of grow your world and have an amazing experience. So with that, I should also mention too, if you've enjoyed tonight, we're almost at the end. But if you've enjoyed tonight and you're thinking about other trips as well, you should go to our resources tab and click under events. We host events throughout the entire year. Almost all of our events are hosted on Wednesday evenings. The upcoming events for May are next week. We have the Dolomites, both the bike tour and the hiking and walking. So there you can spend 2 weeks in the Dolomites and you can ride and do the hiking and walking. May 21st, we have Loire Valley, Loire Wine Country, and the French and Italian Alps hiking and walking. And on the 28th, we go to the Portugal Ride Camp in Portugal hiking and walking. So that again, you can kind of get out there and ride and hike around. And if none of those are interest to you, keep checking back. We're constantly updating the trips that we're going to have. If there's any that you want to see, feel free to reach out to us and let us know, and we can maybe do an event highlighting any particular trip that you're interested in. And I also wanted to mention, I know I talked at the beginning, Trek Travel is having Ruby group rides the first Wednesday of every month. They're at 5 a.m., 10 a.m., and 3 p.m. at Central Time. I mean, Ruby is like a Czech company, so the times are interesting depending on where you're at here in the United States. I generally ride at the 3 p.m. time, the 5 a.m. time. These are Central Times I was giving you. Don't work for me, and 10 usually I'm supposed to be working during the middle of the day. Hershey and I mentioned we both rode in Mallorca just the first Friday. It worked out that way, and it was absolutely amazing. It was so fun. For those of you who haven't ridden on Ruby before, it is an awesome way to experience some of the greatest rides around the world without leaving the seat of your smart trainer. If you don't have a Ruby account, you can sign up and use the code TrekTravel1, the number 1M, and you'll get your first month free. Normally, Ruby, I think, just gives you a week. I think they used to give you two, now they're down to a week, but you get a month if you use Trek Travel's code. If you haven't ridden Ruby before, I think you're going to really love it. You should check it out. I was never an indoor fan. I don't like riding, for a while and going nowhere. But after I checked out Ruby for the first time, I was totally hooked. And then you can also get all kinds of stuff. I have all the Trek bikes. I have a Trek Travel kit, which you will get if you do a Trek Travel group ride, you actually get a Trek Travel kit, just like you do if you go on our trips. So I would say definitely, check it out. And it's just really cool way to see all the various different routes, some of the which, are routes that we do on our own trips, but it's made me want to get out and see more things around the world. All right, so now we are on the last leg of our journey. Hopefully we've stirred up some additional questions. If you have them, feel free to kind of throw them in the chat box or turn your video and mic on and we can answer them out loud. And so with that, let me stop the share here and say, I didn't, when I looked through, I did not see, here's a question from Bruce. I didn't see a lot of other questions, but Bruce has a question. Are these good trips for non-riding partners? Hirsch, what do you think about that?
I was actually just starting to answer that question.
Okay.
So, Switzerland, I think what's nice is there's so much to see and do, and that it's definitely a non-rider could enjoy. The road version, uh, the gravel version might be a little bit more of a challenge, simply because we're moving around a little bit on that trip, and you won't see as much because the van sometimes won't be able to go on on the gravel pass. That said, if they're okay with not seeing every aspect of the roads or the pass, I think both trips could be great for non-riders.
And that's true too. When you think about, whether it's these trips or other trips, really depending how the trip's set up, ones where you're definitely like the one hotel trips are usually better because you're just staying in one spot for, non-riding partners. But, if there's anything else that you're considering, feel free to ask the trip consultant, about whether or not, whether it's some trips are better than others for non-riders for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely if you're looking, I mean, as a rule of thumb, trips where you're not going from place to place usually the best. Because if you're going from place to place, that person generally has to be, in the van, which is, both supporting and transporting all of your luggage. So they kind of necessarily have to be traveling along, which I think it's great to have guests in the van with me. And they seem to enjoy it, but I'm assuming that, after some period of time, they get tired of my 80s tunes and, would probably prefer to be doing something else. Um, oh, someone asked, what is Ruby? Hirsch, thanks for sending the link. Ruby
Yeah.
is a smart trainer app. So basically, so with a smart trainer, you get to ride around, frankly, all over the world. So on your smart trainer, you can ride up, Alpe d'Huez, you can ride in Santa Barbara, you can ride all over the world. And while you're riding, it's like a video riding on it. So like Zwift is kind of the more popular one that's you're riding through like an arcade game kind of thing. Ruby allows you to ride on actual roads. And like other kind of smart trainer apps, you can kind of pick out the bike that you want. You can get different kits. You can do group rides, so you can ride with your friends if you want. I mean, Trek sponsors group rides, but you can make up your own group rides. Ruby even has it now where you can actually create your own virtual rides. If you have a GPS based GoPro, you can actually create Ruby routes. And they work with the Vuelta, so there's segments of the Vuelta on there. There's if you're training for an Ironman, they actually have a lot of the Ironman rides in there as well. So it's really just a super fun way if it's late at night or it's cold or rainy outside to kind of be able to hop on your trainer and get some rides in instead of just kind of staring at a movie or sadly I kind of work sometimes on riding my bike. So but yeah, it's just a great way to kind of check things out. So as Hershey put in the platform there, go see it. And they have and actually before any route, you can watch a video of the actual route and see what it looks like. But yeah, super cool. And then I know someone asked a question about whether or not we kind of look at Ruby to come up with other routes. I wouldn't say we do that, and I agree with you that the rides around the lakes in Italy, like some of those rides I've done, are absolutely amazing. So, but we definitely consider any kind of great routes that are popular and get lots of suggestions from guests. And it takes a lot to become a Trek travel trip. Like Search will tell you, you need to have, 5 good days of riding and great hotels to stay in and great restaurants to really make up a Trek travel trip. And so sometimes areas will have, a handful of great trips or a lot of great routes, but maybe not the accommodations and food that we're looking for. So I'm not aware they do that, but they definitely. I can tell you when I am looking to plan Ruby routes for our group rides, I'm looking at routes that we go on our Trek travel trips. Anything else pop up, Hirsch?
Yeah, there's a few things. I'm
Okay.
just trying to get an answer to one.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Sorry, Curtis. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. Oh, Steve Blake answered my question. Thank you, Steve. Yes, I agree. And there is always another question, Curtis.
Yeah.
Is there any on these trips or any of the trips, are there opportunities for downtime? As you know, some people love to be on trip, love to be riding. However, it is a vacation. So curious
You
about
know,
that.
I tell people that all the time, this is a vacation, so you should enjoy it. And so, I mean, I don't know a lot of, I mean, I love to ride, but it's rare that I ride 5 days in a row. So, um, they are packed with things. There's usually rides every day or some kind of activity that day, but there are definitely, we work in some downtime. But at the end of the day, you can have as much downtime as you want. So if there's a particular day that you don't feel like riding, that you can do some other activity, your guides will always have lots of suggestions. The Ride with GPS app will have, other cultural things to check out, restaurants, cafes, things to do. So yeah, there's a little bit of downtime, I would say, booked into most trips, but at the end of the day, you can take as much downtime as you want. And I encourage people to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see.
And then Mike asked about what's the average gratuity for guides. We have on our website, we have a page for that.
Yeah, I'll put the link in there.
Yeah,
It's under the FAQs of each trip. And so for the road trip, because it's one of our signature series trips, we recommend $240 to $300 per guest to be shared amongst the guide team.
but there will be, but there's recommendations for all the different trips too. So depending on what kind of trip you, whether it's a ride camp or cross country trip or pro tour, um, on our web pages, you can always find kind of suggestions for that. But at the end of the day, you should tip what you're comfortable with, whether it's more or less than what our suggestion is. It's just kind of a suggestion for those things.
Correct. Correct. And I'll put the link for the gravel one in now, but it's under the section of guide gratuities. So that's our Rhode Island Swiss gravel.
Okay, just looking if there's any other questions here.
Yeah.
I don't see
Let me
any other ones. We have 10 minutes left. First, do you have any pro tips as you're getting ready for a trek travel trip? Any pro tips that you'd offer?
Yeah, here. And then this is the one for the gravel. Just put in my pro tip is if there is, now I'm back to us. Pro tip. If you are training for a bike ride with us and you're going on tour, you've been using a saddle at home. Um, I don't remember what our saddles are called, but when you sign up for the trip, we can tell you what saddles we have. If you don't use that saddle, Curtis and I both would recommend bring that saddle from home. It's what you're used to. We'll get the bike fitting well, but your backside will definitely thank you. So bring a saddle if you can. We have Shimano road pedals, Shimano mountain bike pedals, flats, cages. But if you use Garmin power pedals, look, speed play, or anything else, we recommend that you bring those pedals with you as well. Helmets, if you have a helmet that you enjoy and that fits, we do have helmets on trip, but sometimes just have a few things that are familiar to you helps to make your day so much better. And then because you're cycling here in the Swiss Alps, but any trip, Curtis and I would always say bring layers,
Mhm.
bring a rain jacket,
Yeah.
bring a windbreaker, bring a vest, base layers. Um, just you want to have things that you can either put on or that you can take off to cool down or to warm up. How's that, Curtis?
No, that's great. I think those are important tips. And one thing to keep in mind is, the nice thing about a trek travel trip when you're riding, I know if I'm doing a long ride and I'm starting in the morning, I'm like, all this stuff I got to carry. I'm like, oh man, I'm packing my pockets full of stuff. Or, if I'm wearing jackets, like how much can I carry? The beauty of a trek travel trip is that you can start off all nice and warm. And when with all your gear, and after you've been riding all day at the lunch break or whatever, when you don't need it anymore, you can put it in the trek travel van. So you don't have to carry it around all day with you. Or if maybe you've climbed up to, and you're doing a big descent, you're going to be cold, you can take the stuff out of the van and put it on to stay warm if you're, descending from some, Swiss Alp. So I think it's great to have that and be able to carry that stuff around. The other thing I would mention too, Garmin's, a lot of people, will bring their, have their own Garmin setups. And so if you have a Garmin that's set up with all of your like power meters and your heart rate monitor and all those gadgets and your phone and all those things, I would generally recommend bring your own Garmin that's set up the way that you like it, and then we can load the routes onto your Garmin rather than taking one of our Garmins and trying to make it change and look exactly the way you want with all of the screens and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
and we're more than happy to do that. We'll give you kind of a list of the routes ahead of time, but always check with your guides because sometimes they can make some last minute changes if there's some construction or something happens. So just kind of check with your guides if you have downloaded the routes to your Garmin before you get to the trip and just make sure nothing has changed.
Yeah. Curtis, I like that. And personally, like you're comfortable with your 830, I'm comfortable with my
Mhm.
1040. And
Yep.
even though it's a Garmin device, they are different if you
Mhm.
use a Wahoo device or whatever else.
Yeah.
Like use the device that you're most comfortable with. What some guests will do too, because there's this link to Strava, they will ride our Garmin for mapping if they don't want to put maps on theirs, and then use ours for navigation.
Yep.
But if you're good with it, using your phone as well. There we go.
Yep.
You can see my phone. Using your phone is a great tool too because the ride with GPS maps are awesome as
Yeah.
well.
They're super great. I mean, they kind of give you audio cues and stuff, like things that, like the Garmin doesn't do. So it'll say like, left turn coming up and stuff. I love like I said, when you're riding, I mean, I have the Garmin, my phone, and you've had a route talk in the morning. All of those things are great ways to make sure you stay on track,
Yeah,
and don't make a wrong turn.
definitely.
So with that, unless there's anything else you want to add or anybody else has any other questions, I can give everyone, the 5 minutes back on. I'm not sure where everyone's at, but I can tell you it's a beautiful evening in Minnesota here. So give you all 5 minutes back. Hirsch, anything else? Any parting thoughts?
I no, I mean like Switzerland is a magical country and it's amazing how clean the country is. You will almost always, when you're near the mountains, hear the cows with that melodic cowbell sound. The chocolate is good, the dairy is
Chocolate.
fantastic, the meat is great. Um, yeah, it's regardless if you want to do the gravel or the road, you are definitely in for an awesome, awesome event.
Switzerland is up to the hype, is what you're saying. So yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
hopefully we'll see you on a Swiss Alps trip. If not, maybe another event or a different trek travel trip. Thank you all for sharing your time with us this evening, and
Yeah.
have a good night.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Hirsch.
Thanks, Curtis. I'll see you soon, man.
Yep,
Good night,
sounds good.
everybody.
Yeah, goodbye. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
welcome. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Cool, dude. Nice job as always. The Swiss, man, the place looks amazing.